Alright, so we got the muscle over here, applying liberal leverage to the greasable surfaces and degreasing everything so that we can put the winch back together. So we got that going on this end, and I'm getting ready to get you guys squared away where we can talk about what's going on with this winch here. I'm gonna get into this in a minute. This is our culprit right here, I believe. I'm gonna get to fixing that. But these are the bushings that are supposed to go in both sides and sandwich this ring gear. And we'll show you as we go back together. Tristan found these two just laying in the bottom of the gear case with a whole bunch of ground up shrapnel and shit. Don't know what that's all from, but the gears are good, so we're good there. But this one has sheared off too, but this one didn't split in half, so the ring stayed on the shaft. So whatever happened completely destroyed these two bushings. And I got the new one. Let me get it. So that's how they look out of the factory. And what ended up happening is some fool cut a notch in here, because that's supposed to lock into this notch. Let me see if I can get it where y'all can see it. And we're gonna have to weld this up. This little T-bar right here fits like this. If I can get it in the hole. All right, and then this one is gonna flip around and sit on it with these two holes, so that sandwiches that. And the key is supposed to sit in here, and as you can see, the notch is supposed to lock into here. But they ground this down probably to where they could use this either upside down or use a straight key. But the issue with this is it's cut for a precision fit on the shaft. So this sits basically on the shaft like that. This is supposed to lock that in like that, and that alleviates the travel because the keyway is recessed in a tight fit. So this will keep the ring gear from moving left or right. And so we're gonna have to basically weld this back in. All of these cuts right here are all non-square, look like they're hand ground. So that's my gut feeling. We're gonna weld this up. The exploded diagram does not show this piece with a notch. So, and again, if you put the notch to this, one negates the other one. So we're gonna see if we can't fill this back up. I don't know if I'm assuming this is steel. Let me put a magnet to it and see what we got. All right, so what we're gonna do first is, I got this buffed out a little bit. These pins stick in the two different plates, so we're gonna hammer these down and get more sticking out on the bottom side so they get good engagement. And then we're gonna weld this in and grind this all back true, and see if we can get it to where it'll engage the notch. Let me show y'all. So again, we got it, you know, it should engage kind of like this, but with the way it sits, this is allowing movement, so we need to fill that in, and that way it'll hold itself together. So that's what we're after. Let's see. Alright, so that's all we're doing right there. Just trying to get 50-50 engagement on the two plates. So I'm going to start working on getting set up for welding this in. cool that off and grind them up, see what it looks like. So we got the muscle right here. He's got the worm gear, and we got it all, everything all cleaned up. So he's working on putting a little assembly lube in the bearings. We had to blow a bunch of gradue and grit out of there. So we're going to assemble one bearing on one side, the other bearing we're going to stick in the housing, and then we'll put all of this in the gear case here in a minute. As you can see, it just slips on gently. Alright, so we got a little bit of casting boo-boos and stuff, but it's not loose, it's made into it. So Tristan's got this bearing ready to go. He checked it on the shaft so he knows which way is going to slide in, so we're going to just stage that in that back housing.
Might need some tappy tap taps.
Okay, well I tell you what, if you sure it's in there kind of straight?
Yep.
Okay, we'll leave it like that and we'll come in with the shaft. Okay. And then we can push it in with the shaft a little bit.
Okay.
Let me see if we got something that'll drive it. Had a good paper gasket, but you see right here, it wasn't really stuck. And that's right in the bottom where the oil is. If that goof up would have been up top, I'd probably leave it, but we're gonna go ahead and scrape this off and hope it ain't a shim. And we're gonna put some right stuff or something on it. Keep that oil in there. I'm getting gradue in your fresh, clean chamber. You can't find no good help these days. All right, so this is the aluminum drum that covers the brakes. So we popped our seal in there, and we were just turning it over to see how it was sitting in there. We got one more seal to pop in. I don't know where that flange is. Oh, it's down below. Let me get that one and I'll show you that seal. All right, the muscle is applying a little love juice. Now you can start it with that, or you can just tap it down with the ball peen without it, whichever way you want to go. Couple of more zigzaggy flip-flops on this thing, about 3 curse words and 1 whabow, and we're gonna be fixed up and ready to roll.
Is this the outtakes?
Hell with the outtakes, baby. This is gonna be the intakes right here. You learning everybody how to do a seal.
Couple times.
We don't have no outtakes over here, bro. You see the whole real deal. Now I got him all nervous. All right, guys, it's put up or shut up. I guess if you talk shit, you gotta back it up.
Go.
I guess us old fools got something to teach these young bucks, huh? All right, so since the holes in the case are through holes, we have some Permatex thread sealer we're putting on, and it'll be on the bolts for this aluminum drum cover. And let me go down here and show y'all. I'm sinking in the mud. It's been raining every couple of days over here, and it's a swamp. So you can see that we got through holes all the way through the case. So we could Teflon them or not, but we decided to go ahead and put this Permatex thread sealer we use on the water pumps. And we're going to use Right Stuff here because I wasn't planning on taking this down, and I didn't order the paper gaskets. So we're just going to go ahead and Right Stuff it and call it good. So we're going to put the Permatex on there and get all situated. We'll come back to you when we're ready to stab the finally stab the worm gear I've been teasing y'all with. We'll be on it in a minute. All right, so we got Tristan putting on the drum cover back there. He used a little gray Right Stuff sealant and pipe dope on the bolts, and we're gonna get on with the stuff on this side as soon as he's torqued down. Okay, I need what kind of hammer we got somewhere?
I got that steel.
Okay, I'm good if you can let go. I just need something to tap this bearing in. Oh, Jesus.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I don't need to come to Jesus mallet, but that ought to all be home. How we looking?
Looks good in here.
All right.
You see them on both bearings.
It felt good going through the bearing and everything?
Yeah. Nothing.
Okay. Cool. Let me put some Right Stuff on this, and then I'll start running it up. Okay. All right, guys. So we're just going in with that, and then we're gonna. This may give me some trouble with this. Can you look down from the top and see if this is higher than the where the?
Yes, sir.
It is?
Just a hair.
Shit. I don't want to mess it up. I put a little lip thing on it. I wonder if I buff that down, if that would slide over. Feel right here? That's a little too sharp, huh?
Yeah.
All right, let me get something. All right, try again. All right, so we took some emery cloth and polished up the square key, and we're just going to try and take our time. Hang on a second. Let me have the bolt, and that way you got all your digits to take your time and just see if you can. I would probably try. You want me to turn this? I'd try and start, you know, a little above it. As long as it don't mess up. There you go. And then where's your holes? Clock it this way a little bit, or the other way. All right. All right.
Nothing to it.
Nothing to it but to do it. We are y'all's official Tulsa circumcised technicians. There's a mental image you had trouble getting out of your head for later. Now, I got torque specs on all of this stuff, but basically nothing was rocket science tight when we get it. So, you know, we're just snugging it down by feel to seal it up. There's no pressure. There's no high speed, nothing or other. So Just run it up and give it a good snug. Any of y'all get into this, I may have torque specs for you if you need it, but we just going with pert near. And I heard Tristan in the back, he said click every time, so the back is torqued. So as long as we say click on this side, we'll be all right. Okay, that's preset to close enough. Alright, now don't go crazy now. You gotta put the muscle on it.
Yeah.
Gonna flip the whole bed over here. I didn't hear no clicks.
Oh.
Click. Click. If they heard it click, then it's legit, bro. You gotta, you know, we don't want the keyboard warriors getting on our ass.
Click.
All right, guys, so like we did earlier, you can see the cuts in here, the relief cuts. So we took the bolts out, we ran them through here, pulled it, and that pulls it out of here, if I can keep the damn thing in frame, and separates this out because it's a tapered shaft. So we got our gap back right here, so it should go on. And you know what else we need? We need an Allen wrench for the set screw.
Yep.
There might be one on the floor.
I got it.
Okay, you got one? Can you see behind there and see if we're, check it and see if we bottom out all the way on the lip?
Oh, you
Hitting the bolts?
hitting the ball.
Okay. Tell you what, let's go too much. Alright, so we were hitting right here with the heads of the bolts. So I ran them down just a little more. Alright, so we want to see that we hit the shoulder. And not the bolts. Okay, so that's as far in as that's gonna go. Alright. Well, let's get the box in. You can put that in if you want, you can run that down. So there's a set screw that goes on the keyway, and he's gonna tighten that down. And then we're gonna tighten the 3 bolts, and that's gonna swedge this down and taper it right onto the shaft and squeeze it down and keep it put. You can't get a box in on it. You got to do it open end wrench. So we're going to do a couple of turns, rotate it on each bolt to walk that in evenly. And we almost flush right here. When we done, this piece ought to be sticking out just a hair. All right, we got to grab the wrench. All right. Let's see. So I got to be going up. That's pulling it in even. And actually this way, once we do the brakes, we can push against the brakes. Matter of fact, let's just hang on to that. Okay, so that's this side. We're gonna go to the back. All right, guys, we're running out of batteries, so we're going to show this in little sections. Tristan's got the drum, so that's going to slide on the keyway. And then we got the star washer with the little bendable tabs. And that nut over there on the other side of the flathead. Once you tighten it down with the impact, we'll bend the tab over and put this cover plate on it. So I'm going to come back to you with that. Gonna take the brake shoes, and they're gonna go in, one on the left, one on the right, where the spring bars are vertical, and that way everything will line up. All right, Tristan, so what we're gonna do with this is you can clock this to where this will fit between the spring bars.
Yes, sir.
You know, and you can play with it a little bit, but you want these on the outside and the spring bars like this. And then, yeah, this is pretty much top right there, somewhere like that. And you can spin it, so just get it where it needs to be on the shoes. And then we can line up the holes after. Alright, so while Tristan's running those bolts down, so we did it earlier the same way. So if you rotate a counter, we should be going down. The brakes are basically neutralized. As soon as you try and go back, the brakes catch. So that's how it was earlier. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to finish snugging up these by being able to push against the brakes. And that'll make sure that the brakes are working and that we got a good bite on this. And brakes are getting a pretty good bite. Alright, so we pretty much bottom end done. We're going to put the bottom plug in and save the side fill for the oil tomorrow, which somebody who will remain nameless forgot the oil. No, I'm not going to take my advantage of blaming that on the muscle. That was strictly my end. I don't like one of my friends used to say, calls Alzheimer's all-timers. I don't have all-timers, I got half-timers. I only forget half the shit half the time. Alright, we're gonna pick up in case it rains, and we're gonna pick this back up with building the shaft and the drum and dropping it all back together. Alright, so our goal today is to get this back in. The dog goes on this end, you can tell by the scar, and the smaller keyways go to the bronze gear side. So what we're going to do is we're going to build this side, slide it in the drum, and then we'll build the gear side. And our secondary goal for the day is to talk about it to you guys like we actually know what the hell we're doing. So I'm trying to remember, it's Tristan's first try at this, so y'all we either gonna get it right, y'all gonna get a laugh, or I'm gonna have some editing to do. But one way or the other, we're gonna make it happen. So we're gonna start working on this, and I'm gonna clean the keyways, put them in here, and start assembling this section. We'll space it with the bushing and kind of get everything set up, and then we'll slide it in and build the backside. I'm coming for the keyways next. All right, so we got a little wear lip right here, so I'm assuming that's for the bushing on the drum, so we're gonna go on with that. And the other day I was fooling with them. I don't know if I'm gonna keep that footage or not, but we had kind of chiseled up these a little bit getting these keyways out the other day, so I had to go deburr it a little bit. I don't know if that's on footage or not. Let me get a little hammer. So I don't know if you guys can see, but there's a little squared off notches. So we're just gonna bring these up to that. Make sure they're in there. All right, let's see. This will come up to here. So then we're gonna go on with the infamous dog, which does not want to go on. Have to get my hammer. I don't care what it does out here, that's the bushing. Hmm?
Does this key look like it needs to?
Yeah, we may have to.
It's not sitting in the.
Okay. Let's look at this one first. We'll just turn them on. Let's see. There we go.
So we got a little gradu on the keyway and the shaft here. Just gonna clean them up a bit. Get a snugger fit.
All right, we had a little gradu I didn't account for in the bottom and a little bit on the keyway, so we're gonna start it up again. All right, so the muscle got us all cleaned up, and let's see if our retrofit works this time. This damn thing is gonna fight no matter what. I'm gonna get to the point where I'm gonna recycle this damn thing. All right, and we're gonna tap these forward, and I think we're gonna go ahead and well, we're gonna leave that alone. I'm gonna set screw this front one first. And again, I'm just turning it to try and, got 3 set screws on it. I want these keys all the way forward toward me. And then this is just gonna be a stop. We're gonna snug that down a little bit, and we're going to test fit the bushing. And that doesn't have to necessarily be, you know, all the way up. I'm just trying to, we may have to set it back a little bit, but I think that's going to be it right there. So we Allen key this down with all the keys pushed forward, and then we can tip tap this and Allen key this side down, and the bushing should fit. So guys, I took the bushing and test fit it right here. Okay, now this is pushed out a little bit. So it was kind of, a little of the bushing was sitting out past the shaft when it was on the truck. So we're gonna try that, and we'll make whatever adjustments we need to make on the truck. But we're just getting the Allen screws set, and then that way we can take the whole shaft and stick it in and start building the other side. So we got 3 Allen keys on these rings, and they're just going to be jammed up against the keys. The keys are jammed up against the oval in this direction, and then those are going to sandwich it, and the dog travels in between them, and that's what locks and unlocks it. So we're gonna torque these down and get back with you in a minute. All right, we got all this tightened up, and we're gonna go in the drum.
Down. This way. Oh, there you go.
Yep. Okay. I'm good. All right. I'm gonna set y'all up in the back where you can see what we're doing. All right, so now we're getting ready to figure out how we don't know to put this together. So come along for the ride. All right. All right. Okay, which way do we want the flat? The good flat?
Okay, on the outside.
We wanted it on the outside. All right. What we're trying to do, guys, is the notch in the keyway had one side that was kind of worn and one side that wasn't, so we did some coon-ass calculations and figured out that we think it's going to be pushing out more than it'll be pushing in. So hopefully it'll be riding up against the flat. But I did thicken this out just a little bit to get it in there, so hopefully that'll give us a hand. Okay. We might have a lip that's got to be. Oh yeah.
Notice on that key.
Yeah, we're gonna have to buff that down. I'm gonna need a vice grip. Got a little lip on the keyway we're gonna buff down. We'll be right back. All right, we got them buffed down. Let's see if they'll slide on a little easier this time. I don't want to get too. Okay, push the shaft this way. All right, just kind of keep a little push on it. I'm gonna put this right even with the, there we go. All right. Yep, it's got to get even with that for this to, actually we got to overshoot. Put this in. Okay. You see how this, come see how this went. Come around. So we had to overshoot the gap all the way like that gap we had.
Yeah.
And then this will drop in,
Okay.
line up in the dowel holes like I just had it. So it won't go in now. That's about right. Take it out to show you. And the damn thing doesn't want to go back in. Okay, so that's that. Okay, so I'm gonna push this like that. That'll hold all this in place. Now we can put the bronze bushing on. Let's see if I have my. Okay, well it's a good thing we put all the paint marks on here, so we don't know which way is which. So if we don't have a paint mark, we can put it anywhere we want. Is that it? Yeah, we'll get all the bolts in there, and then we can kind of tap it in there a little bit to seat it a hair, and then
Just like a wheel, you want to tighten across from each other. Pull it all together evenly, best you can.
this one right here. Perfect. Almost look like we know what we're doing. Y'all don't tell nobody. We got to get our plan of attack to get this up on the bed and sitting in the winch.
Right, y'all, just a little update on what we got going. When we went back in the case with the assembled gear, everything, it was just barely rubbing on the edges of the case too hard. We did put new bushings that may have something to do with it. But anyhow, I got it mocked up in the case, and I took a measurement with the gap we have. We're gonna have 2 bushings on each side, and I got 0.652, and each bushing is 0.325, so we might have to come down a few more thousandths, and that'll give us the clearances we need.
All right, guys, so all of that time-lapse stuff was actually, we were trying to get the edges of the case to fit, for these bushings to fit in. So earlier this was fitting, but this one wasn't. So we polished all of these flanges and got a little bit better, got them thinned down a little bit where they'd fit. And we're happy with that. We got a little fine air gap right here with some assembly lube in it. And then this is gonna run with 140 gear oil. So once that marinates all of this, we ought to be good. But she's rolling, you know, trouble-free, no problems. So we're pretty good, and we're gonna button the case up. So we're putting our paper gaskets on, lining our dowels up, and putting her back together. Call some mechanic here. He done got this shit all squared away.
Okay guys, if anybody wondering or anybody actually doing this, it took about just under 2 quarts. So you can get away with buying just 2 quarts.
What are we doing? Was there an end on it or no? Okay. All right, guys. Well, we got all of this. I'm gonna visit and see if I got some torque specs on those bolts, but gaskets are in place. We got the drain bolt in with some Teflon, and we pumping some 140 gear oil in it. And once it gets to overflowing, that's gonna be it. The old Tulsa would be good, and we'll know more when we get it hooked to the truck. So that's it for this week on the Tulsa Wrench Revival. Hopefully that's it for the Tulsa Winch Revival period. And y'all see anything or got any questions or comments, hit us up. And other than that, we'll see y'all on the next one.